The Bhagavad Gita is one of the great sacred books of wisdom of the world. Literally, the name Bhagavad Gita means the song of God. Gita means song. But now in the 21st century, the Gita is perhaps, it's certainly as relevant as it's ever been. Maybe it's more relevant because the urgency of its message, it really speaks to a time of crisis, the time of crisis that we are now most definitely in. I first discovered the Gita 40 years ago when I was an art student in Chelsea in London. I was reading with great enthusiasm many books on mysticism and spirituality. And as soon as I opened the book, really, as soon as I began to read Krishna's words in particular, I felt, here's the voice of God. How come no one told me about this book before? Not long after that, I got hold of another English edition of the Bhagavad Gita, and I have it here. It's an edition that was published by Macmillan in America, a slim volume. This is pretty old, this one. It's a little worse for wear, but it's a sort of 200 and nearly 300 pages English translation of the Gita, made by the man who became my spiritual teacher. I have pictures of him in here. This is a picture of him dancing and singing. Hope you can see that. My spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada. So I became a follower, a disciple of Prabhupada, and that was in 1970, and a couple of years later the full edition of his Sanskrit Bhagavad Gita was published, again by Macmillan, and this had each verse with the Sanskrit, with the English or the Roman transliteration, the word-for-word meanings, the translation of the verse, and then elaborate purports, explanations for each and every verse. And for years and years, this was my principal guidebook of spiritual knowledge and wisdom. I decided, well, about 20 years ago actually, that I wanted to make a simple translation of the Gita that would be more approachable, and that would be simple and easy to understand, and that would perhaps capture some of my own religious upbringing in the sense that, when I became a devotee of Krishna, I didn't reject my Christian roots. I felt that God has many names. Krishna is one of them. God can also be referred to as God the Father, who is embodied in his Son Jesus Christ. I had a devotion for Mary also, and so I felt that Krishna and Radha, Krishna's the female form of Krishna, Radha and Krishna combined, they were something which I added to my understanding of God rather than to replace any previous understanding of God. So I wanted to produce a Gita that would be in that inclusive spirit. And so recently I was able to publish an edition of Bhagavad Gita which I called Bhagavad Gita Talks Between the Soul and God. And in the Gita, which originally is in Sanskrit, we find the mysteries of yoga, of the eternal spirit, of God, of love for God, and of the relationship between myself, the individual child, and God, the Father, and the all-pervading Spirit, who also dwells within my heart. And because Krishna says, Krishna is speaking as God incarnate, because I live in the heart of every being, therefore I can give you the wisdom and the understanding that you need in order to understand me, in order to approach me, in order to be with me. And that is really the essence of the Gita, which is why I subtitled this edition Talks Between the Soul and God. In order to make this edition as appealing as possible, I got a friend of mine who's an artist, Charles Newington, to produce a wonderful set of illustrations that go at the front. There's 18 chapters in the Gita, so there's 18 drawings. At the front of each chapter is an illustration to help open up the text to the reader. So this is a short introduction now that I've just given you, and now I have 3 more short presentations taking you through the Gita through the eyes of my artist friend Charles Newington.